Why do I believe that this was Brian Wilson's suggestion as a non-company mandated bumper music? Is it?
Because it's so good. That's why you would think it was Brian Wilson's.
I'm telling you. You know, I never heard this song for a lot of years. It's been out there a long time.
Well, what is it? I don't even know what it is.
It was only a few years ago that I heard this song. I said, that is my favorite, non-religious Christmas song.
What is it?
And I still love the old hymns, Silent Night and Oh, Come All Ye Faithful. I mean, I really love those. But just for fun, this song by Elvis Presley is just a ball. It's great.
So I didn't know that was Elvis Presley.
Yep, that's Elvis.
And forgive me because, Brian, I have an allergic reaction.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Elvis Presley, Santa Claus is coming to town.
Santa Claus is back in town, I think is the actual name.
Got it. Hey, Brian, can I ask, in all those years when you were broadcasting in Washington, D.C., what was the coldest temperature you ever broadcast live from?
I don't, I think the worst one was the Obama inauguration.
Oh, yes.
Because I got sent out at like 5 a.m. for a noon inauguration, and it was so cold. And the thing is that there was just because of security, once you get on location,
yep.
And they wanted me because, there was expected to be about 1 million people on the mall that day.
Yeah.
They thought that, they wanted to come to me several times and do live shots from the podium. I was about 50 feet from where they actually took the oath of office. And I had to be there from 5 a.m. until the inauguration. And then they said, but don't worry, after that, we're gonna let you get warm and you'll get a bite to eat. And then we're going to put you in a trailer and you're going to be in front of the presidential limo as it goes up, Constitution Avenue, Independence Avenue. And I said, by the time I got to the other end of the avenue, I was frozen like a popsicle. I mean, I was imagine. So cold. It took me days to get warm after that.
Well, Brian, it is a balmy 28 degrees out here at Nissan Stadium for Toy Field. It is the 18th annual Toy Field, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Wayne's Pest Control. Basically, we're at the stadium, and we're asking people to bring toys for kids or gifts for seniors as well.
Or electric blankets or something.
Electric blankets or a cup of coffee for hosts who don't have any coffee. Yeah. But anyway, so it's great. It's a great initiative, and it is Brian. It is so cold. And I'm going to be honest, man.
And one of our heaters just went on the blink, too.
The heater, Brian, heater just went on the blink. So I'm at 28 degrees with no heater and no coffee. Other than that, though, things are going great. Hey, Brian, you know what? As cold, as miserable as I am right now, I will say this. At least I'm not a blown-up narco-terrorist.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, there's a new survey out. Once again, the Democrats have taken a position. I mean, they walk right into the Trump trap. I mean, he's brilliant at this.
3D
Takes
chess.
a position that he knows is going to be popular with the American people, but because it's a position that he has taken, the Democrats will automatically be against it. They find themselves defending the people who are running drugs into our country. And so what I saw was the Reagan National Defense Survey just out. 62% of Americans now support the idea of going after the narco-terrorist. So, again, Trump takes the popular position. Democrats are forced to be in these weird positions where they support narco-terrorists, of all things. They just can't help themselves. They repeatedly keep walking into that kind of trap. And it sort of tickles me that they cannot figure it out. They're just so overwrought by hating Donald Trump that they cannot see how badly they look to the American people.
Well, and so what they're probably going to try to do, Brian, is they're going to try to make this into, well, we're against drug dealers and narco-terrorists and all that, but, the law is the law. Well, I don't know. Have they come out and actually said that he hasn't broken any laws, at least not that I've been able to see. We're trying to figure out what happened with that
he's not consulting with Congress and the war powers. Listen, you can go back, Obama, took out terrorists without going to Congress. Clinton did it. The Bushes did it. I mean, we have done this around the world. If we find that there's a national security threat, we have in the past, without going to Congress and asking permission, we have taken out that threat. So there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. It's just that we've never done it against the drug trade. But I believe, as the president believes, that these narco-terrorists are a national security threat. And again, 62% of Americans agree with that position.
Well, and here's
it's hard to find 62% of that. If anybody agrees in America on 62% of something, you know?
Well, you know what the thing is, Brian? Here's the deal. Even if Trump broke a law, I don't think anybody cares. Like, take him out. Who cares?
It gets back to this whole War Powers Act, and you know, when you're the president and you use your authority, the other side will always say, "Well, he didn't. It's not. He's not obeying the War Powers Act." But the fact of the matter is, the War Powers Act may well be unconstitutional, and nobody really wants to have it checked by the Supreme Court because they're afraid. Well, Congress says, "Well, we don't want to do that because we might lose it." Presidents don't want to risk it because they might lose the power that they have. So it's just this undecided issue. Is the War Powers Act constitutional or not? I don't think that presidents have to go to Congress for limited actions on the national security arena, and I hope that that continues to be the case. Other presidents have done it, and all of this nonsense about Trump's is different. It's not different. It's exactly the same thing.
Let's talk about the Supreme Court. I know that you're watching several of the cases that are coming down. What is the one that most interests you?
Well, yesterday they heard arguments about whether or not the president has the ability to fire members of independent multi-member coalitions or independent agencies, and the 6-3 court seemed to be sort of leaning in a very heavy way toward giving him that authority. If so, that gives the president expanded ability to create the government that he wants to see while he is in office. The case is Trump versus Slaughter, and this is apparently, it could well overturn a 90-year-old precedent. So once again, the president doing what he can to, make sure that he leaves a strong executive in his place.
Well, these agencies, I mean, they do seem to wield a lot of power.
Yeah, I've never thought that it was right for an agency to have so much power that they can't be fired. I mean, somebody's got to have the ability to fire folks if they're not getting the job done. To just be an agency that is untouchable is just nonsense.
Yeah, and though, Brian, if that does come down, what the Democrats are going to start screaming, right? Oh, he's a king, and his, hand-chosen Supreme Court is, giving him more power, and he's going to wield this because he's a dictator.
Yeah, last time I checked, kings are not elected. So,
That is exactly right. We have, it is 7:15. Brian, you and I are going to talk about some burger wars that I think In-N-Out has not even opened, and they're already winning. By the way, a balmy 28 degrees here in Nashville's and Nissan Stadium, where my heater is
It's
not
a lovely
working.
72 degrees here in bucolic Watertown in my studio. Just wanted to say that.
Sure. Thank you, Brian. Hey, real quick. So on the same day, tomorrow, that In-N-Out is opening up in Lebanon, in case you folks hadn't heard, tomorrow's the big day. Whataburger has closed 4 locations.
Well, yeah, they're going to, including, this just blows my mind. It seemed like it was just the other day we were announcing, hey, look, Whataburger's coming to the Nashville area. They have 24 stores in the area, and they're going to close 4 of them, including one in Mount Juliet that I think just is a couple of years. It's just been open a couple of years.
It's only been open. That's right down the road from where I live, and it's only been open for a couple of years, and I don't know.
And the timing, when you see, here's In-N-Out about to open up their first couple of restaurants, And at the very same time comes this story that Whataburger is going to close 4 stores. So yeah, the burger wars are on. And Dan, I just want to, just a polite reminder that you a long time ago promised me that when the In-N-Out Burger was there, that you would buy my lunch there, which would be really a nice thing, because I don't think you've ever picked up the check. I'm just as long as I can remember, I don't think that's ever.
You know what I'm going to do,
happened.
Brian? I'm going to buy 2 hamburgers and not going to give you any like the Kid Rock steak. I haven't forgotten that either, Brian.
I'll never live that one down.
I was actually shocked to hear that you have never had In-N-Out.
I never have.
In
I've
all
been to
your
California, and there was another burger chain out there that I sampled that somebody said, you got to go there. But I don't think I've never been to an In-N-Out Burger. I'm really looking forward to it.
So when are you gonna do it? Because I'm going to try to convince Murphy Show to show up at In-N-Out tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and hold a space.
Listen,
Come on,
I've got a list of Christmas honeydews as long as my arm, so I can't do this for a few days. But
You're on your own, buddy.
yeah. But
Brian, I think you need to put
but
your
when
foot
things settle
with,
down a little bit, we'll go.
Sure. Okay.
And you'll
very
buy.
Good. Very good. Hey, real quick, Brian, on the economy, because we got a couple of minutes. On the economy, I believe that things are turning around. I played some audio earlier of some things that are happening that I think are good. I'm overall, I'm just going to tell you, I'm positive on the economy in 2026. And I think that, and I asked this question of Matthew Hurt in the previous segment.
Right.
But I think the Democrats are going to rue the day when they made the economy their core issue a full year and a half, 2 years before the midterm elections.
Well, Donald Trump is correct when he says that all of the things that are coming your way haven't even started yet. They don't start until 2026. The tax cuts and all of that. This is going to be, you're going to see this economy come alive. I think everybody's going to be watching very closely today to see what the Fed does. The Fed is not supposed to be a political body, but I just keep getting the feeling that they're making decisions based on a political basis and not on what's really going on with the economy. So I hope that we see interest rates come down a little bit. We are right on the precipice. And, sure, are there things that sort of need to have some last-minute adjustments? We're doing big things with the economy. So if you need to give the farmers a little money to sort of hold them over while we're in this transition, at the end of the day, once the transition is complete, the farmers are going to be doing well. Our economy is going to be doing well. Everything is poised for a big ramp up here in the coming year. I'm with you, Dan. Very bullish on 2026, and I think that we're going to see all of the things that Trump has been working for are going to sort of congeal at the same time early next first quarter probably, and you're going to see the economy just come alive.
All right, very good. Brian Wilson joining us here on Super Talk. One of the things I noticed was that Susie Wiles is out there saying that she's going to bring Trump out onto the campaign trail. Did you see that?
Yep.
What do you think about that? I mean,
well,
it's not really surprising, but in 26 and maybe 28 too.
Well, I think he'll be. We need to do everything we can, and he is the guy that has the juice in America. He goes out and he changes the dynamic of races when he makes these appearances. I used to think they didn't really, when somebody comes in to campaign for you, I didn't think many people paid notice. But when he comes to town, it's a dog and pony show you can't ignore. And he does help candidates. So glad to see that. I also am glad to see him getting out on the campaign trail in a different way starting today. He's going to Pennsylvania to talk about the economy and how and try to explain to the American people, yeah, look, it's coming and things are starting to happen. And you look at your gas prices. There's a lot of good news out there. Better news is on the horizon.
Absolutely. All right, Brian Wilson, as always, thank you for joining us. Actually, this is on Tuesday now. We moved you up a day, but thank you for joining us here on Super Talk 99.7.
All right, you stay warm, my friend.
News. Sure, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay warm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
All right.
I think you promised me an In-N-Out burger too.
Did I
Yeah.
just in some sort of a drunken stupor? Did I just promise everybody In-N-Out burger?
I think so. Jackson,
I don't want to be left out.
Yeah. Okay, and Sam too. Yeah, Sam's definitely on your list of.
I'm a
In-N-Out
two-burger kind of person.
I'm thinking all y'all are on crack. That's what I think. By the way, so if you're watching, did the camera catch that? Did you see what happened? So Jackson, I love you, Jackson. Jackson gives me a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
and the lid was sort of like off.
Oh, that
And so
could have been a disaster.
Jackson gives me piping hot coffee with a loose lid, and it goes all over my hand, Jackson. Oh, I'm so hurt. There's going to be a worker.
Oh, man.
Come on, Jack. Everyone remembers the McDonald's lawsuit.
Yeah, right.
I hear workers' comp in my
Right.
future, friends. I'll be nice and warm at home every morning. I'm totally kidding. By the way, we do have some encouragement from the Super Text line, which I just opened up, Joan.
Yeah.
Love y'all, but I've heard high school basketball games with better audio quality than this.
Oh, man.
The haters are coming out.
Yep.
The
Oh,
haters
look.
are coming out.
0384 was also promised an In-N-Out burger by you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody's coming out.
eh.
Very good. And people are saying, "Oh, you guys look cold." It's like, nah.
Really? Do we look cold? Because we're stinking freezing.
That is exactly right. All right, we got a
You
lot
know
more.
what?
What?
My feet are cold.
Your
Are
feet
your
are
feet
cold.
cold
yeah,
on this?
my feet are cold, but you're wearing the big old Ugg things or whatever those
Yeah.
things are. So yeah, but that's okay. You know what? It's all for a good cause. And Jackson, let's get some video of what is going on over here
I
with
see
the
a bicycle over there with a helmet and
Yeah,
everything.
we got to keep the bike away from Murphy Show.
Yeah.
Give it a nice a scan. People are walking in front of the camera.
Bunch of soccer balls and
Bunch of
basketballs
soccer balls and
dolls.
basketballs and there's a football there. Joan, you and I could take that football and go down into the Titans field and throw it around.
We could,
Go out onto the field. That'd be
We've
a
been-
lot of fun.
but the security guards they've already promised they'd tackle us
Yeah, they did. They
and
did.
take us to
You
prison.
could pull
so.
a Lucy on him.
We could. Dan could outrun them anyway.
Appreciate you being here, Dan Mandis, and out here at Nissan Stadium, Titan Stadium, and it is a toy field out here with Joan Jones. 18th annual Toy Field Toy Drive, sponsored by A.O. Smith and Wayne's Pest Control. All we ask is that you bring a toy for a child or a gift for a senior. And let's, if we could, Jackson drew the short straw. Jackson, if we could let people know how many toys are coming in. We've got basketballs now, and we've got soccer balls, and we got a bicycle that we need to keep away from Matt Murphy this year because that turned into an international incident last year. And so you want to come on down to the stadium and bring some toys for kids or gifts for seniors. We would love for you to. Joan and I, we are here till 9 o'clock, and then Chris Hand is going to be here 9 to 12. Chad will be here noon to 3, and then Matt Murphy. A Murphy Show for the ride home, 3 to 7. And Jonathan Fahey joins us right now. Jonathan, always great to have you on. You know, as the guy that was in charge of ICE under Donald Trump, I thought you, of all people, would have a great laugh at this headline. Biden was warned his soft-on-immigration proposals would cause chaos, but he ignored it. Damning memo reveals. This is, of course, that big story from the New York Times. And I don't know, was there anything, I mean, talk radio, you and I, we've been talking about this for a long time, about the problem with Joe Biden and illegal immigration. So what was the most surprising things that you read in the New York Times report?
I think the most sort of I wouldn't say surprising, but it's just interesting to see it laid out that we've all been saying they knew, and it was so obvious this would happen. It's almost sort of like another version of the Jake Tapper book, where they're saying things that we all knew were true, but it was still mildly interesting, and also just confirmed it just for a higher degree of certainty. But the fact that they knew about it just shows that it was intentional, which is what we always knew, and we know it was intentional because they thought it would help them electorally in the future, not only with census data that increases Democrat power, but also their goal, which we see now, is to eventually give these people citizens, or even before they're citizens, not put any roadblocks in the way if they decide they want to vote. So it just shows it sort of in black and white how cynical the Biden administration was, how everything they said about immigration was some variation of a lie or a false narrative. Because remember, Mayorkas would go on these shows and be like, we're having worldwide immigration, and basically we were just part of this overall thing where people are moving around at this high rate that wasn't happening before. Instinctively it sounded like nonsense, but he was basically saying it was just something that was going on. It had nothing to do with their policies, which we all knew was false. But again, everything he said about the border was always a lie. Remember, it was on one hand, it's the root cause world where, these people can't get a bank card, so they need to come to the U.S. And then on the other hand, it's like, no, they're asylum seekers, 10 million people fleeing persecution and torture, but no one ever asks the relevant question of, well, who's torturing them? Why don't we just stop that, and maybe this could all end? So it was so much nonsense. But it's so cynical because it speaks so poorly of the Democratic Party, which we all know what their cynical motives are. But it even speaks even worse about the mainstream media, because if you say, take a few people out of the equation, nobody covered this immigration story. You had Fox covering it really hard, Bill Maloogian down to the border. But the rest of the media tried to ignore it, tried to downplay it, tried to minimize it, tried to do all their tricks. You're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're blah, 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 because that's their game. And then they hope enough people will be bullied out of saying something about it. But they've caused such profound harm to the American people because of what they did. And now they're going crazy when Donald Trump wants to remove even the criminals that they let in. It's just so insane.
Well, what's interesting, Jonathan, is that you did have people within the administration that, according to the story, did realize that they were making a big mistake. One of the things that we have since found out about the Biden administration, post-administration, was that he was very protected. He had an inner circle, and that was very difficult to penetrate. And so I think this tells you that, yes, people within the administration knew they were making a mistake, but they stood by and they watched the nonsense. They watched the lies. They watched the accusations of racism, knowing full well that this was going to not only cost the election, which it ultimately did, but also cost America a lot as it relates to either resources or human lives.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the worst part of it all, is like people knew. And I don't really believe anyone didn't really know what they were doing. It's just the people that didn't follow the advice, whoever the president was at that time, which might have been Ron Klain. But they knew, they just played the long game. And I think their strategy was it wouldn't get the attention it would get, and it wouldn't be enough to move the needle, and they could just play the normal games. I think they took a calculated risk, and I think we talked about this before, but the Democratic Party 10 to 15 years ago, I think made a conscious or semi-conscious decision to say, we are abandoning the working class and we are going full-on identity politics, open borders, because you can't be for both, right? It's like the working class gets crushed by illegal immigration in every respect, if it's wages, if it's schools, if it's health care. But they made that conscious decision, and I think they had to ride it, and they're still riding it out now, because every single person that wants to run for president is full-on open borders. I mean, you look at J.B. Pritzker, you look at Gavin Newsom. I mean, they never use the word open borders. They always have euphemisms and stuff, but they will fight like dogs to prevent anybody from being deported. And so we know if a Democrat gets elected in 2028, they're going to reopen the border, because that's what they plan on doing. And we're seeing it. It's just everything we said back in, so many of us were on these shows back in March of 2021 saying this was intentional. Here's what they're doing. And, they try to, always shut down people that said that. And they would take them at face value when they would pretend that they're acting in good faith, meaning the Biden administration, in dealing with this issue, which it's so sad because they dealt in such bad faith, knowing that they were harming American citizens who they were there to represent. But unfortunately, the Democratic Party, illegal immigrants are probably one of their most powerful constituencies, if you really think about it. They will never say anything bad about them. They invent these bizarro euphemisms to describe them because they never want to mention the fact that they're illegal. So it's like newcomers, non-citizens. It's such a stream of utter nonsense. And if American people want to say, hey, I want higher wages, I want better schools, I want better health care, they're called racist. It's so shameful.
Well, and not only is it shameful, but I think that you would think there would be a distrust of the entire Democrat Party for what they put us through. The interesting thing, though, Jonathan, and I'm going to jump the traffic, so I'm going to pose this question, then come back to you. But I do find it interesting that, Donald Trump has not even been in office a year, And you now see people are making noise about the midterm elections, and it is shocking that people would ever trust this party again. I've got a follow-up to that. So, Jonathan Fahey, when we look at the midterm elections and the presidential in 2028, this is where we take the immigration hat off and put the political analyst hat on. So we all know that the trust with the American people was broken in the Democrat Party regarding immigration. Is it shocking to you that we're starting to see polling where people are siding with the Democrats yet again heading into the midterms?
It's disappointing, but not shocking, because that's typically the way things pan out. You know, the first election of a president's term, it usually goes for the other party. And the main issue, I think, in every single election, I don't want to quote James Carville, but it's always economic issues, I think, are always first and forefront. It's economic issues, probably followed by public safety and followed by other types of things. So I think if the economy starts rocking and rolling, as at least Secretary Besant and other people seem to think at the beginning of next year, hopefully that part of it will turn the tide. But I think that's where people look. Can you afford things? How are you doing it? With work or whatever, and as far as wages. So I do think they need to do a very good job of tying the economy to illegal immigration, because it really doesn't get talked about enough. We're always talked about a terrorist coming over the border or somebody that's a killer, but it's also, hey, if thousands and millions of people come over, that means your price of housing is higher, your wages are lower. You cannot see doctors. They don't bring doctors with them. So that means the quality of care and the cost of care both go up, and the quality of schools go down, because if half your school doesn't speak English, where's the attention? Where's the resources going? So all those things, I think, when they talk about immigration, I think sometimes it's easier because everyone can say, terrorists coming across the border, that's a bad thing, and everyone agrees. But you really have to dig deeper. You look in Minnesota with the Somali community, it's like, is that a net gain to America or a net loss? We should be able to have a serious conversation about these things. And if people really see it for what it is, I think they could see these things tie in. But again, I think it is the economy has to, it's going to be first and foremost. And it's sort of like when people are unhappy, they just vote for the other side.
When you look at what's going on in Minnesota with all of these Somalians, I mean, they're talking about how this could be one of the biggest, certainly the biggest in Minnesota, but perhaps one of the biggest that we've seen in our country in some time as far as the fraud. And you're talking about immigration fraud. You're talking about fraud utilizing those COVID funds as well. Do you think this is one of the things I've noticed, and just give me a second to flesh this out, but when you look at all of the problems with illegal immigration, whether it is the drug dealers coming into our country, the ones trying to come in from Venezuela. We could talk about the Somalians and not only the fraud, but also a lot of this, but also a lot of the resources that they take up. You look at how much how these folks are on a lot of government resources. You're talking about EBT cards and just all those things. And do you think that this is going to be something that ultimately the American people will consider? Which political party is more passionate about securing our borders and trying to look out for the American people? Clearly, that's the Republicans and not the Democrats. And you can tie all of these policies, the Somalians and the fraud and the illegal aliens coming across our southern border. You can tie all of that obviously to the Democrats. And I just, for whatever reason, I just wonder how much that pierces the psyche of the American people.
Yeah, I think people need to really talk about the quality of life issue with these things. And you look at the Somali fraud, and it's like, we all know when we get to the very bottom or the end of this thing, the truth will be, my prediction will be, these Democratic politicians turned the blind eye because they didn't want to offend the Somali community. So again, another situation where immigrants are treated better than Americans. But I do think it's like people have to realize that if people are coming in here and taking more resources than they are contributing, those resources come from somebody, and they come from Americans. And it's not mean to say it. It's just true to say it. And maybe, and I think people need to really look at these things. And, the Minnesota, that's probably just a example of something that's going on far more widespread in Democrat cities and states. And this might just be the first example or the biggest example, but my guess it is it is just an example, and it's very widespread. But yeah, people to come to our country, get all of these resources, and not that the fraud was committed by all of them, but it's very widespread fraud, and that's money that people don't get in their paychecks or their resources or whatever. And I think that's so important for people to realize that you want to say nice, you want to seem nice, but you get to put a sign in your yard saying no humans illegal and all those things. That sign costs you money, and you have to at least recognize that.
Last question. They're talking about investigating Ilhan Omar. What do you think they're going to find if they do?
I don't know. I'm quite interested in this whole thing about marrying her brother that everyone is talking about. I think that would be interesting if there's any sort of immigration fraud. But the other thing that's really interesting is all of these things, and it's just reading from the media, so I don't know, but it's like they talk about how much her net worth increased some staggering amount since going to Congress, which, sadly to say that she's not unique in that respect, but it does, we should look more into it. Like, why do people become rich by going to Congress? We're supposed to, sort of have this citizen legislature. You go and come back and then make money. And it seems like more of these people make money while serving in a supposed public service role than they possibly could make in the private sector.
Yeah, we got in the wrong business, I think, Jonathan Fahey, because I'd be a lot richer if I was a politician. Jonathan, as always, great to have you on Nashville's Morning News.